Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. My name is Bryce Carter. This is the Intangibles. Thank you so much for joining us. I am joined today by Christian Ainsworth, and we are going to have to talk about the Chiefs, Christian. It's what we're paid to do, frankly, and we might not want to do it, but we have to do it today.
Yeah, unfortunately, dude, there was nothing like that game, man. It's been a really long time since I felt like that as a Chiefs fan.
I think the thing that makes the game so frustrating and really just kind of like the season in a nutshell is like everyone is just sitting waiting around for the thing to happen. What the play is going to be. Okay, this is where Chris Jones makes a big sack. This is where Patrick Mahomes does something crazy on 3rd and 18. This is where the team drops the ball at the snap or whatever. And it's literally just not happening. It almost feels like the team feels like that too. Like we are just all sitting and waiting for the thing to happen and it never happens.
Well, yeah, and it's super unfortunate too when you have people on your team like Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid, like two of the greatest people at their positions of all time. And it just doesn't seem like they're getting it done. You know what I mean? It seems like we have all the tools, we just haven't put it together, which is somehow worse than like just having an awful roster and being like, well, we don't have the pieces this year. We got to retool. It's like, no, I feel like we have everything. It's just, we can't put it together.
Well, let me ask you this. And sorry, we're just like launching into it right now. I mean, there's just a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we might as well.
Realistically, where's this team worse on the roster? Okay, let's keep, because I think the cop-out answer is people are going to say coaching and execution and stuff. On the roster, where's this team worse than it was last year?
Like position group?
Group? Yeah, where are they worse now than they were last year?
Oh, I don't think there's a single spot. I think you could maybe say safety or defensive line. But even then, I think you're kind of just like, projecting age into it. And like, Chris Jones wasn't the guy he was last year or the year before. But other than that, I mean, wide receivers better. Tight ends, I think you could maybe say, Kelsey's a little bit older, but he feels like he's playing better than ever.
He's definitively better this year. Yeah. Like offensive line, better. Wide receiver core, better. Patrick Mahomes, the same, right? Like we could maybe dice up his performance, but it's the same player. The defensive line's almost exactly the same. I think, Chris Jones has regressed a little bit, but the linebacking core, the same. The cornerback room, definitively better, just on depth of Fulton and Williams alone, let alone like Watson's playing most of the season. Shamari Connor's not your full-time slot like he was. In the safety room, I think that they missed Justin Reid, but I don't feel like it's massive. And yet, shout out to Mike Sando at The Athletic. He does great work. I love his segment on 810 every week. He put together this little graphic. This is, he was being coy, but he said, I wrote about the Chiefs' improvement this year. 2024, pass points per game, 25.4 and 25. Points per game, 24. More points per game. They are allowing fewer points per game. Their average point margin is greater in 2025. Their EPA per play is better on offense. Their EPA play allowed on defense is better. Their turnover margin is better. Their record, 4 games worse. They were 9-1 at this point last year. They're 5-5 this year. Make it make sense.
Dude, it's all one-score games, too. That's the problem. They're 0-5 in one-score games. So the games that they've lost, they've been very, very close to winning. Just can't seem to get it done, which is like maybe the defining factor of last year's team, like just knowing how to win late in the game. It just seems like we don't have it.
Well, it's like, and this, like, truthfully, and I know like there's a lot of people who are sitting there. The weirdest thing is like, well, they weren't a good team last year. It's like, They were, though. They won a lot of games.
They went to the Super Bowl last year.
You could have validated that if they were a first round exit in the playoffs, or maybe a second round exit. You don't go to the Super Bowl and be a bad football team. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen. Okay, you just have to win too many games.
Yeah, well, I was having a conversation with my father yesterday about it, and I was like, who has a better roster overall right now? Do you think the Bills or the Chiefs? And you go through every single position, like wide receiver, probably the Chiefs, tight end, definitely the Chiefs, quarterback, I mean, maybe a wash at this point, offensive line, definitely the Chiefs. And it's like, so why aren't we winning like the Bills are winning? It's like, I think there's a pretty clear answer, but we'll talk about that a little bit more, I feel like.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think talking about the Bills there a little bit, the Bills do have an advantage of, at least having somewhat of an easier division. I mean, they're fighting for their lives, but to me, although they lost to the Dolphins, having the Dolphins and Jets in your division really helps. The Chiefs only have one of those with the Raiders, and the quarterback play there is just so dramatically different with Herbert.
Let's not pretend like the Broncos were world beaters, though.
And also, I don't know. I think this is a really tough game. Like in Denver, and to be clear, Sean Payton and Vance Joseph have really had Andy Reid and Mahomes' number for a couple of years now. I mean, even back in 2022, when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they had to eke out their wins against the Broncos. It was like a 17-16 mess, or they have struggled against this version of the Broncos for a while now. So it was always going to be tough, but yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating. There was no reason for the Chiefs to come in this game and look the way that they did. They're coming off a bye. They were the far more healthy team. They had, for the first time on the field, their 3 to 4 decent to above average wide receivers. Travis Kelce playing at a much better level than he has. And oh, by the way, Josh Simmons played really well. They've got a good offensive line. Like it's so frustrating because it's literally just execution, game plan, and coaching. You can't consistently generate penalties on every single special teams play. I mean, if you wanted to get really savvy with it, you could probably say that the Chiefs cost themselves 2 or 3 points, let alone on special teams. 3 points if you give up the big Marvin Mims return, and then they gave up they get the extra point blocked. That's 4 points right there. That's the margin of the game. And the defense did a great job of holding them, but it's just really confusing to look at all those stats, all those numbers, and just the eye test to say, this roster is more talented than it is last year, but how are they doing so much worse than they were last year?
Well, yeah, and it's like the most optimistic or pessimistic view of the Chiefs all revolves around the same thing. And it's like, hey, the coaching could be better. Like Patrick Mahomes could be better. It's like, yeah, that's, it's an easy out, but it's like, dude, if you look at the team, and you're like, how can we improve? Well, we can't improve roster-wise anymore because the trade deadline is passed. It's like there's only one way to improve, and it's the one thing that's holding us back. It's the play calling, and it's Patrick Mahomes' play. It's like, well, I don't think any team, if their head coach doesn't call great plays and their Hall of Fame quarterback doesn't, play incredibly well, that, you can't. I mean, no team can win like that. And I don't think there's a team in the league that can, have awful quarterback play, not awful, below average quarterback play, and then awful coaching and still be effective.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, it is a baseball lineup. It's like, when an offense is struggling in baseball, it always seems like whatever part of the lineup is hitting stops hitting when the other one does. Like, oh, if we could ever get all 9 guys hitting well at the same time, we'd be a pretty good offense. But then the top of the lineup, they go 1 for 23 over a 3 or 4 game stretch. And then the bottom of the lineup does well. And then the bottom of the lineup starts not hitting again. And then the top hitters get hot. And it's just like, okay, so the defense, they're playing well in the first part of that game. Well, the Chiefs offense couldn't get off the schneid where they could take advantage of that game and get him chasing game script wise. And then Patrick Mahomes has had some really good games there. But then also he's struggling in a time whenever they can't really do a lot on the ground, and Isaiah Pacheco's hurt. It's been a constant moving, revolving door, and it's just hard to see how you could go into any game with the Chiefs right now and feel confident in them. And I think that to me is the biggest thing. This game changed my perspective on this team because yes, they lost the game to the Bills. We've seen them do that, but this is okay. Here it is. This is where they go take command of the division that they've had command of, better quarterback, coming off the bye. This is where the Chiefs start to do what they do. This is where we all sit around the turkey table and say, well, real football is played after Thanksgiving. And now, I mean, we can play the game of looking at the Chiefs schedule and say, oh, this is a win, this is a loss. Short of maybe the Titans and Raiders, I don't know how you can look at any game on the Chiefs schedule and just say, oh yeah, they're winning that game, because with the level we've seen them play at here. And I just can't believe that we're here when the Chiefs solved left tackle at 32, when they have good wide receivers on the field, when Kingsley Suamataia turned out to be a good left guard, the defense is playing well, and somehow we're still here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you look at what it would take to make the playoffs at this point, and I think you have to probably be about 10-7 if you want to make the playoffs. I went through the numbers, and that gives you about a 63% chance of making the playoffs. If your team ends 6-7, or the Chiefs specifically, you have about a 63% chance of making the playoffs. I think that, with those tiebreakers not going the Chiefs' way, like against the Jags or the Chargers at this point, it's like, it's a very, very difficult slate of games that we got to go up over the next month and a half. And we're to the point now where, like you said, I don't know how you can feel confident in the Chiefs in making that run. I don't know. There was some stuff we wanted to get here too, though. Price, is there how do we want to start this thing?
Well, real quick, let's talk about our friends over at Underdog. Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is super easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on projections like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. I love Underdog. It just makes any primetime game so much more enjoyable, especially if it's an NFC game like tonight where you don't really have a whole lot going on. Tonight, I'm looking at the Cowboys to win, which is a new feature in Underdog. You can pick the spread. You can pick to cover the spread or to win outright. That's been fun to play with. I'm looking at the Cowboys to win, higher on George Pickens receiving yards, 65.5, and lower on Ashton Genty's rushing yards. It's the simple, it's quick, honestly, it just makes every game so much more fun to watch. Download the app today and sign up with our promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $100 in bonus entries when you place your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict, all one word. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 years or older, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS HTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.nbcgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right, so the Chiefs, they're the Thanos meme, right? Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. They have won 5 games. They have lost 5 games. The Chiefs are neither a good football team or a bad football team. They are a football team. So today we are going to intrusive thoughts / positive this. So what we're going to do, we're going to set a timer. And for 4 minutes, we're going to be negative as possible. And then we're going to we're going to transition a lovely song. And then we're going to transition to the positive. So it's kind of like we can only say positive things on one side, only say negative things on one side. And the reason why I want to do this is because I do think that there is some glimmers there. And I also think like it's so hard to keep all of your thoughts on one side of the track here, right? Because like it's just so easy to just wander to like, oh, well, they're not playing well, the coaching, maybe they should just bring in new voices. Maybe they just fire Andy Reid. Like, could Sean McVay go do TV for a couple of years and then come to like, I don't want to run away with it, right? So I just want to keep these thoughts segmented. So with that said, Richard, can we please hear the beautiful, sweet, sweet music of Tom Tom? Banger. So every time you hear that, we have to stop what we're talking about and switch to the other side of the coin. Think about it as a good, healthy high school debate topic, Lincoln and Douglas debate, where you got to argue both sides of a topic. So with that being said, I mean, we were already on it. So let's just start with the negative here. Honestly, just right at the top, why aren't the Chiefs a good football team? Like, what is it that makes this team not a good football team?
To me, it's the coaching. I think it starts and it ends there. I think that there are a lot of problems with the play calling, especially offensively. where you look at this team and you see lots of yards left on the board. And I think you could maybe give a little bit of a nudge to Patrick Mahomes and say, hey, 2 wide open guys down the field, first drive, like you got to hit one of them. Like Xavier Worthy's wide open, running down the seam. Like you probably got to make that throw. But then I look at it and I go, we threw the football 4 times and not a single run. And
the play calling on the final sequences are just ball breakers, man. Yeah, incomplete sack. And then like, what's the other sequence where it's 3rd and 2 and we got to hit a wheel route to the rookie 7th round running back? Which, by the way, I think if Mahomes triggers on that quickly, he at least can get like the first down. I don't think it's a big chunk gain. Whenever they've got a running back who's been as efficient as the tush push, what would the Eagles do right there? They'd run the tush push, and if they didn't get it, they'd run it again. Literally, they do that the next game on the NFL slate. I just cannot understand what is going on. How many times do you watch the Chiefs offense anymore and be like, oh, they got him there? Like I watch a lot of other NFL games. You do too for FTN. There's always those moments you're like, oh, wow, they got him. That was a good one. It just, where is it? And I just don't know if Andy Reid has lost his fastball. If that's the question. Is like I think for so long teams have been built to beat the Chiefs, and over time defenses and offenses, like the new trend with the Rams and the Seahawks game, which I didn't get to watch much of because I was suffering through the Chiefs game. Both those defenses are built to, like, instead of letting personnel decide your personnel groups, like, okay, they've got 2 tight ends and a running back and a fullback on the field, we've got to play heavy. Instead, they come out and play everything in the same formation, dime. And they just get these big dimes like Nicky Manwari and these guys who can stay on the field in their formations and stop letting the offense dictate to you. The Chiefs feel the exact opposite. They feel like they're reacting on defense and they're reacting on offense. They continue to get their linebackers stuck in coverage, a place that they're not strong in. They continue to let other people break their rules. And it feels very much like the offense is just also taking what the defense will give them rather than trying to take the fight to them.
Oh yeah. Well, man, I kind of disagree with you there offensively, just because it just feels like we're trying to play a game and we don't care what the other team has out in front of us. There's no reaction there to me where we're going, hey, listen, it's 3rd and 2. There's a wide open run up the middle if you want it. Denver's just going to give it to you. They don't care. They don't think you're going to run the ball, and then you don't run the ball anyway. And it's a wheel route out to your 7th round running back that you got to throw a back shoulder ball to, instead of 3rd and 2 with Kareem Hunt, who's like, I don't know, what was that tweet you had, like 70% or something efficiency on 3rd or 4th and short? It's just something insane. Yeah. And so it, like, taking what the defense gives you and then making them wrong. Like, that's all offense is reading the defense, making them wrong, making sure you're better than they are. And I just feel like we haven't done any of that.
I just keep coming back to the fact that this group of skill players, like, you are running out of excuses for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And I tweeted that, and some people were all mad. Even ESPN people are like, Chiefs fans are so ungrateful and stuff. It's like, look, let's move the bar beyond football 100 and just be, we're just happy to be in the dance. We're not Jaguar fans, right? And I just don't think that there's a lot of excuses to be made. Like, I think you talk about the Chiefs' performance in the Super Bowl or whatever, and there's always been offensive line was torn down, no weapons, those type of things. I think at this point, you just got to look at it and be like, the 2 most important people on this team, Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're just not being as good as they are.
Yeah, well, that brings us to, I think, a really, really good point. And you talked about it a second ago with the defense. To me, I don't want to hear any talk about the defense. Defense has been playing incredibly well. You can say what you want, but when a team goes, when the defense gives the offense 10 opportunities to score 23 points, I think that, that puts you in a really, really good position to win. And that, to me, any conversation that starts with how bad this team is has to end with, well, the defense has been playing really, really well.
I think both games, the Bills one's a little bit more suspect because it felt like the Bills probably could have gotten more than they did. But in this game, I certainly think that the defense played well enough to win. And one thing that I think, if again we're trying to be as encouraging as possible on this side of the coin, I think Chris Jones looked really good for a change. And by the way, I think that they did the right thing and I know everyone's like, oh, where's the Steve Spagnuolo blitz? You're mad because it didn't win. It didn't work. That's what you're mad about. Because at the end of the day, if they would have sent the house and Bo Nix would have, killed him against the blitz, you would have been saying the same thing. Like, oh, why'd you blitz? You should have just played soft coverage and rallied and tackled. Bo Nix has been a far better quarterback this year against the blitz. I've brought it up on the pregame show. He was the least blitz quarterback in the NFL. And it's because when he wasn't blitz, he struggled. He was carving up the blitz. So I think that they did the right thing. Chris Jones in this game. So George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, and Chris Jones combined for 14 or 12 pressures in this game against a good offensive line. Like we talked about it, 3 of those points were given up by the special teams. Honestly, put it on the defense for keeping it at 3 instead of 7. And then that's also not including the short fields that they hand to teams all the time because of penalties when they get, blocking in the back penalties on offense, on special teams, of course, because the kicking team getting that. But positive. The defense, I do think that there's a lot of reason to still be optimistic about where the defense is, and that it's not a defense. Like, if the offense can just get off the schneid a little bit, I think the defense can really carry them.
Oh, well, yeah. And you look at the games that we've played so far, and I'll just go through them really quick. Chargers, they gave up 27 points. You probably want it to be a little less than that. I think anything less than 25 in the modern NFL, you should be able to win, especially with a Patrick Mahomes-led offense. So Chargers, we'll give him that one. A little bit of a not fantastic performance from the defense. Eagles, they gave up 20. Giants, they gave up 9. Ravens, they gave up 20. Jags, they gave up 31. Again, not a fantastic performance. You're going to give up some
That's
duds.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah. But Lions, 17 with that high-powered offense. Raiders, 0. Commanders, 7. Bills, 28. Again, you probably want to give up a little less than that, but it's the Bills with Josh Allen. That's a tough matchup. And then the Broncos with 22. That, to me, if I'm a defensive coordinator on the team or in that defensive room, I'm saying, hey, listen, guys, I don't know what else you want from us. We went up against 2 or 3 of the top offenses in the league and held them to less than 20 points, less than 25 points. You got to win. This is an offensive-led team. That's what has to happen, and we just haven't been able to do that.
Do we think that – what do we read into with Christian Fulton being active and playing? He didn't play a ton. He wasn't out there every single time. I think he was around 13 snaps for this game. But what do we think of him playing and Noah Williams not playing any snaps? And also quite a bit of Christian Roland Wallace in this game. Do we think that they're seeing something there that they feel like maybe this is a guy that they just wanted to keep healthy down the stretch, and maybe he is an upgrade? Because Noah Williams, there was a lot of reason to be really excited about him as a young rookie pick, but I don't think that he was infallible.
Oh, yeah, no. It's not like he was playing as his PFF grade suggested. You would have thought that he was the second coming of Sauce Gardner, how well he was playing, or Darrell Reed.
There for a little bit, yeah, small sample.
But, yeah, so I think that having Christian Fulton sort of coming into the fold is probably a great idea. It does kind of feel like that Jerick McKinnon style thing where it's, hey, we're going to put you in limited rep or limited snaps and just kind of see how it goes. We know you're injury prone. We know that, you haven't had a healthy season in a while. So let's just put you on ice and then slowly work you back into the fold after the bye. That to me was I love that. And then Christian Roland Wallace played his freaking heart out yesterday, man. On the outside, keeping contained, getting good leverage on that wide receiver that was trying to block him, and then getting outside, forcing him back in, making the tackle. That's top tier cornerback play or safety play on the outside. And you finding that this late in the season is godsend for this team.
Yeah, and I think the linebackers look a little bit better version of themselves. I think the safety, I really don't think that the Chiefs have missed Justin Reid all that much this season. He was a good player. I wish he was on the team because it's just depth. But I don't think you look at this and say, man, they are just really hurting at that spot, which was a major concern. And they've not used Jaden Hicks a ton. I know someone in the chat was asking for more Jaden Hicks snaps. I think he also was around 13 snaps defensively. It looks like they're preferring the coverage of Roland Wallace. But I just think that there's still a lot of ceiling left with the defense. And I don't think that the defense is why they are losing games. A lot of people are going to bring up that pass rush on 3rd and 15. But again, I think that his legs were something you had to be concerned about.
Oh, yeah.
Is this roster just critically flawed? So here's the thing. I'm worried about the roster and how it's constructed. I'm also worried about how they are using it. You're tied up with the most expensive center, most expensive guard in the NFL. Chris Jones is not worth what he's being paid. You're paying a linebacker. Then you get into some of the other moves. Like, for so long, we've talked about, oh, this is a Steve Spagnuolo edge rusher. You mean guys who don't win quickly, who set the edge? Oh, well, this guy's an Andy Reid wide receiver. You mean 190 pounds and 5'10" and can't win at the catch point? The best wide receiver on this team is not an Andy Reid style wide receiver. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, Rashee Rice. And I think there's some of these things. And then obviously, like, what they have let the running back position get to. And it's frustrating because I've been having conversations with people all day on Twitter about running back position. And someone were like, I don't see you can say running back's the least important position on the team. Look at Saquon Barkley. Look at this. Like, no, that's an example of why it is the least important position, because that's the infrastructure that they got brought into. But they also can't let the running back position be the 32nd running back room in the NFL. Like, it's by far the worst running back room in the NFL. No one is clamoring for it to be the worst in the NFL. It can be 25th and be fine. I mean, no one's going to get mad if they invest a third or a fourth round pick on the running back position. And if they are, they're stupid. Like, I'll just say that. Like, I think that would be stupid. I just don't need to draft Jeremiah Love in the top 10, or take him in the first round. Like, we've seen both sides of that. So is this roster just critically flawed? And that's why it feels like they can't get over the hump, is because it's just not built right.
I think there's a lot of that's true and is a valid argument. To me, this is all about coaching. But when you look at this team and look at some of the decisions they've made personnel wise, listen, the reason you draft Xavier Worthy in the first round is because you fit him into an offense where you can put him in positions where he's going to be wide open and he's going to get a lot of room to run. He's going to have a lot of yak opportunity. That has not been the case for the offense this year. And so when you can't scheme that guy up, when you can't put Rashee Rice in positions where he's going to be able to win quickly, or Xavier Worthy, or you're not able to put Tyquan Thornton on a seam route every single play and give him the leverage to be able to beat one of those DBs deep downfield, those guys can't win. It's a situation. Part of it is it's asking a lot of any wide receiver to be able to go one-on-one coverage with an NFL caliber DB and win 70-80% of the time. That's where you get like your Justin Jeffersons and your Jamar Chases and even your T. Higgins. But you're putting these guys in positions where you drafted them high, so expectations are high, and then you're not putting them in positions where they're most likely to succeed.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that it shows up in several places on this roster. I mean, first off, we can talk about the under center snaps, right? Like the amount of under center snaps that the Chiefs run. It's by far their most effective run game. And they have people, body movers on the interior offensive line. They don't do it. They frequently rank in the lowest number of under center snaps in the NFL, whether it be passing or running. Then you look at the offense. I think that they're trying to make Hollywood Brown into something that at this point he's not. I think Hollywood Brown should be wide receiver 4 or 5 and come in on like pass first option. I think he should be towards the bottom of wide receiver snaps. I think Juju's useful because of his blocking, despite him like getting 2 penalties called on him yesterday. And I think it's very obvious that Tyquan Thornton should be the predominant X who's stretching the field, put him in the MVS role. He's their best downfield wide receiver. Him and Mahomes' chemistry has been better than anyone since Tyreek Hill down the field. Xavier Worthy needs to be a real wide receiver. I know that he is small. He needs to look like Jameson Williams. I recorded some clips and uploaded them. This can be positive. Xavier Worthy's a good wide receiver, man.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like there's more upside to his game. And I also recorded some clips of what Rashee Rice looked like last year. The ceiling of this offense. They are still second in the NFL in EPA per dropback. After the Bills game, after the Broncos game, offensive success is the greatest indicator of success in the NFL. And they have that. And I will also say, I just don't believe that the pendulum is that powerful. I know that the lame nerd analysis of like, well, they won all those 1-scoreless games last year. Now it's regressing. That's just not how it works. You flip a coin 10 times. It doesn't go 10 times heads, 10 times tails. They are getting the worst end of luck right now. And I think if you factor that offensive success based upon how we feel about the roster and the players that are here, their experience and stuff, they are poised to go on a run, to run the table from here on out. And look, we're not going to talk a lot of Colts here, but this is the type of game that obviously it's at home. The Chiefs know the urgency of this moment. There's a lot of things in this game that could scare you, but there's also a lot of things in this game that you could say, I could see the Chiefs winning this game and maybe like handedly, just because of some of the things that we've seen from Daniel Jones lately, some of the things we've seen from the Colts defense. They're without one of their better interior defensive linemen in this game. I don't know. I just think that there's still a lot of ceiling left in this team.
Oh, 100%. And you talked about running from under center and how effective that's been for the Chiefs. I just want to look at, we like to shit on the running back room a lot, and for good reason. I think that there isn't a whole lot of talent there. And when you're missing your running back one, who was probably top or bottom 5 in the league anyway, your room isn't going to be incredibly successful. But you look at the efficiency of these running backs, they're both still averaging over 4 yards a carry. So no matter what you say, with all those short yardage runs Kareem Hunt has got, with all those Isaiah Pacheco, has no idea what he's looking at and just ghost runs up the middle of the line of scrimmage and then just gets hit by a defensive tackle that was standing right there. 4.2 yards per carry for Pop, 4.0 yards per carry for Kareem Hunt. That is serviceable running back numbers, where if you increase the volume for one of those or both of those guys, I think that you can utilize them, and it's not one of those things that like will prohibit you from winning a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, this is still a serviceable enough room that we can make a run.
So some further numbers here. When the Chiefs run from shotgun, they average 4.6 yards per carry and a 0.02 EPA per rush. You put that to under center, it goes to 5 yards per rush, 0.19 EPA per rush. So almost quadruple the amount of yards per rush. They're averaging 40.4 rushing yards from under center per a game. That is huge. Their EPA per play from under center jumps from to 0.20, even if they're passing, versus shotgun, that EPA per play is 0.111. In other words, when the Chiefs are under center, they are definitively the leader in EPA per play, and by a lot. So the Colts are number one in EPA per play at 0.15. The Chiefs were at 0.22 from under center. They're the best offense in the NFL when they get under center. The Chiefs see that and say, like, you know what? 3rd and 2, why don't we do play action out of shotgun here and see what happens? So there is upside here. And I think maybe, just maybe, they get this right. We've seen them do this before. It's not as easy, the path is, because the Chiefs' path in 2023 was to win the division. They took care of that and they got it done. They're not going to be able to do that this year. But where they eventually got to the point where it's like, it's Rashee Rice, it's Travis Kelce, it's Isaiah Pacheco. This is how we win.
See, now what's unfortunate, though, is that historically our head coach and our offensive coordinator have not been able to do that, have not been able to kind of change their philosophy as far as game planning goes offensively, which is really what concerns me. I mean, you look at the pass to run ratio, it's something like 64%, which is second in the league. So they pass the ball 64% of the time. That's up there with teams like Cincinnati, Tennessee, Cleveland, the bottom lowest tier of teams
who are losing lots.
Yes. So that puts you in a position where if you're not going to even that out, that's a very, very difficult mountain to overcome. And again, I think you'll have to see a philosophical change from Andy Reid. And I don't know if that's something that he is capable of this late in his career.
Well, and I think the thing that's frustrating too, and I've already brought this up a little bit, is you look at the way teams have been building for 4 or 5 years. It's been all centered around trying to get lighter while still being able to stop the run. Like the Rams, like the Seahawks, who are basically playing dime at an extremely high rate and doing so effectively still against the run, getting pressure with 4. And I just don't know. You look at the AFC, even if the Chiefs make the playoffs, cool, they're the 7th seed. What's the first matchup going to be? In Denver? You feel good about that? They brought it up on the broadcast. In the last 3 years, the Chiefs have scored 3 touchdowns in Denver. That's insane. And by the way, You did this without their starting middle linebacker, who's played 99% of the snaps going into this game, and the defensive player of the year, who was also absent for that game for the Broncos. That's really, really big. Like, that's a huge factor in that game. So their defense is going to get better, and the Chiefs looked like a puppy who knew that it was caught in the act peeing on the carpet, and they were just mortified the whole time in that game.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we go back to the defense and how well they played, and they gave the Chiefs 10 opportunities to score touchdowns. 10. If you're telling me Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can't score 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal, be 30% in scoring touchdowns on offensive drives, that is scary, especially against, like you said, a defense who's missing key players. There are also some matchups that I just don't think that we can go toe-to-toe with right now. I'm not saying that won't be the case later in the year, but if we play the Jags again, it's not a lock. If we play the Bills again, this is not like playoff Bills that we've played in the past where, Josh Allen is going to be frightened. This Chiefs team is vulnerable. And I think that is, the sentiment around the league as well. This is the year to win. This is the time is nigh. Got to get it done. And so I don't think you'll see that Josh Allen in the first and second drive like we saw last year, where he just airs it out and misses a whole bunch of throws that he probably should make.
I do think, like, most of the time, the ESPN talking head, Sunday Night Football, like, I kind of roll my eyes at most of that analysis, but I've heard this from a couple of those type of people where it said, like, the Chiefs, aura is gone. And I do think that matters a lot. One, I felt like the Chiefs were able to put pressure on teams all the time, and their opponents made mistakes because they were afraid of the big bad wolf on the other side of the sideline. That's where you get teams going for it. It's like the fake punt against the Chiefs that the Texans did with Justin Reid.
I was just about to say that, Price.
Yeah,
that's
like
the exact moment that I thought
it's those type of things where teams they force mistakes because they're pressing so hard. And I think teams now think that, and you see them be smart. I mean, like, it just felt like that 3rd and 15 with the Broncos. Like, oh, this is it. This is where someone comes up with a big play. Chiefs get the ball back. Patrick Mahomes goes and puts this game away. That's how this script goes. It's like, you know what? No. Bo Nix is going to stand in their pocket and deliver. Okay. So wrapping up here on the positives, I think the Chiefs I think the team that you have to watch the most, because right now if the playoffs ended today, the Bills, Chargers, and Jaguars would all be wild cards. I don't think the Chargers are winning another 3 or 4 games, man. Listen to the Chargers schedules. First off, I just finished evaluating this game for FTN, which, by the way, the Jaguars offense looked really good without Brian Thomas Jr., without Travis Hunter, Bashal Tutin, looked really good. Like, it almost makes you wonder if they're better off without some of those guys. But listen to the Chargers' upcoming schedule. Okay, so they play the Raiders. They're on bye this coming week, by the way. The Chargers are. They play the Raiders. You chalk that up as a win. Listen to this stretch of games: the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Broncos. I'm not kidding. They might win 1 game in that stretch, because we'll get into talking Cowboys a little bit. I think that defense is going to get better. Like, they're missing. They've been missing some pieces. They had Quentin Williams. We're going to see them play tonight. It wouldn't surprise me if that defense kind of turns the corner. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs or be world beaters, but I don't think they're going to be the worst defense in the NFL. And the Chargers' offensive line is so blanking bad. Madison Beer needs to take out life insurance on Justin Herbert and get a prenup or something going there so she can get some of that sweet Justin Herbert money, because I don't think he's going to make it. Trevor Penning was playing left tackle in that game and got benched. Like, that's how bad it is. And he was getting demolished. And it's like, that's their exact weakness. The Broncos pass rush, the Texans pass rush. You just saw what the Eagles defensive line is playing like. I think that the path for the Chiefs is the Texans, or the Chiefs are going to need to beat the Texans because they're also in the mix here. That's the other team to watch. But I think the Chargers are the path, that the Chiefs beat the Chargers when they come into Arrowhead, which, by the way, should be doable. I mean, like, I would not shock me in the slightest if we're talking about Justin Herbert being injured again, because the guy's had some injury issue, and I am not even going to discredit Justin Herbert. He's getting murdered, but I think that's the path, and I think that's very doable. There's still the Athletics playoff predictor has them at 57% to make the playoffs. If they beat the Colts, that jumps up to 60. If they beat the Chargers, like not factoring in any other game, if they beat the Colts and the Chargers, that number jumps up to 78. Pretty important games there.
Oh, 100. Well, this was a pretty important one too, and we were very surprised at how it went. But so anything is possible. But staying positive here. I have Justin Herbert in fantasy, so I'm very, very aware at the amount of injuries that have occurred around that player. And dude, it's like your starting running back that you drafted in the first round is down with injury. Both offensive tackles are down with injury. He is in such a dire situation where you just go, man, I don't know what else you would like for him to. I mean, he needs something to succeed, right? He is not going to be put in a position to win football games if all of the weapons around him are injured, and then also his offensive line is just completely decimated. So, I mean, Chargers are going to be the Chargers. That's how it is every single year. But this is a situation where, you look at that team and you go, listen, we don't have the tiebreaker. I understand they have 7 wins right now. That's absolutely a team we could overtake. And I think you could say the same for the Texans as well. And maybe a little bit less the Jags. I'm pretty high on the Jags right now, even after the Bashal Tutton injury. But I mean, Steelers, I don't think anybody is afraid of Mason Rudolph now that Aaron Rodgers is going to be out for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I've not factored the Steelers into this at all.
No.
I don't believe in it. I will also say, like, DeMeco Ryans just said at the podium that CJ Stroud is still in the concussion protocol. They play on Thursday night against the Bills, so that's smelling like a loss. They had to eke it out against the Titans this week, and they're playing with their backup quarterback. You can't really blame them, but I don't know. I still have optimism. All right, last shred of negativity here. And then we'll just go back to normal conversation. I do want to talk to you about one other thing. Mock drafts. They're are we firing up the mock drafts at this point? Like, here's what I'll say. Would it be the worst thing ever if the Chiefs missed the playoffs? Yes. No. Maybe. I don't know, man. The worst thing for this team would be like just missing the playoffs, or like getting a wild card spot and they're picking like 24th or something. Like today, fire up the simulator, they're picking 15th. Like that's pretty nice. It sucks the class for that though. Like, oh, this is not the class for that. I wouldn't even know what to like. Honestly, defensive line. I did that. I traded McDuffie for a second. Which, by the way, all of you people who are like, oh, they're Sauce Gardner is like Sauce Gardner already had a deal that he came at a discount financially because the Jets paid some of that. You have to pay McDuffie if you're going to trade for McDuffie. And by the way, it's widely considered that the Colts dramatically overpaid. Maybe they get a first. What I did is I traded them for a second and a fourth. That's what it is. I feel like that's really achievable. I traded them to the Panthers, by the way. So like, okay, they've got their corner tandem there with J.C. Horn on the outside, McDuffie in the slot. They need defensive playmakers. There's some Kansas City connections there with Brant Tillis. Also shout out Eric Eager, who is a Chiefs fan who now works in their analytics department over at Carolina. And then here's what I did. I went. This is negative, by the way. I'm just excited because it's the draft. I went. David.
This is our lane.
David Bailey, Mateo Ugalele, Dante Corleone. We're fixing this defensive line. You still got Omar Norman-Lott. You still got Ashton Gelati. Got FAU basically on a 1-year deal. George Karlaftis, Chris Jones. We're fixing this defensive line. We're getting Dick records on the interior defensive line, and we'll figure out the rest of it. You still got Jalen Royals, Jeff Bassa on the hopper. They've basically done nothing. Then I come back, Darian Price, the second running back from Notre Dame. And then I just to double up on the back end there in the 7th round, I take Dante Dowdell, the big bruising running back, formerly of Nebraska, now at Kentucky. We're fixing it. And mock drafts, really, honestly, the Chiefs might just be better off if they just miss the playoffs and just really go all in on the draft again.
Well, that's a lot to throw at somebody. I did look at your tweet earlier with your mock draft, so I was very impressed with the value you got there. But to me, it would piss me off so much if in one of the shallowest draft classes we've had in the past, half decade, that the Chiefs sucked for that year, and then we come back and we're good again. It's like, no. If we're gonna be ass, let's be ass in the 2027 draft, where there's insane wide receiver talent. There's running backs that are going to be coming out, like Ahmad Hardy, who would be absolutely insane in the Chiefs offense. And so it would piss me off a little bit, but I would also be incredibly happy to be able to like maybe trade up to the top 10 if we were like number 15 or number 16 in the draft, which obviously we're not hoping for. But as far as draft content goes, man, that would be like the dream.
Do you remember Darren Rovell, who's like probably one of the worst Twitter accounts around? I don't know. He's like a sports adjacent guy. Whenever they were storming the Capitol in January, he said, I feel terrible for our country, but this is incredible content. That's us with that's like us, the Chiefs missing the playoffs, but then like we've got like 10,000 people on the draft live stream and everyone's just going crazy. It's like, oh, cash is how, let's go. I mean, man, like seriously, the 2022 draft was a fever dream for me. Like that's where I really started to fall in love with the draft. And I remember sometimes this is real sicko stuff. I'll go back and just like search through my media on Twitter and look at the old mock drafts I did. And looking at how big those screenshots are of the draft from 2022, where they had all those picks, it's something to consider. And maybe even like this needs to be the year that they start trading down. Okay. All right. So we're still a banger. Love Tom. Okay. We're outside the positive negative. Do want to ask you one more question. Gun to your head, do the Chiefs make the playoffs?
I'm gonna say yes, and that's partially because we just got out some of the poison, and I'm feeling a whole lot better about the situation now. But just with the things that are able to be fixed, they're more intangible than they are tangible. So the roster can be fixed. See how I threw the title of the pod in there? That was really slick.
Branding 101.
Yeah, there we go. No, it just feels like all of the necessary things that this team needs to fix can be fixed, which is a positive and a negative when you're looking at it, but also one of those situations where I can be fairly optimistic here and not be outside of the realm of possibility in my mind, at least. Like if we were down both of our tackles and one of our wide receivers was injured and Travis Kelce was over the hill, I would be more than happy. Maybe not more than happy, but I would not be reluctant to tell you we have no shot this year. But that's
that's also like the argument you could use against it right now. It's like they're actually a very healthy team. Like, what does this look like if they lose a couple of people? And I mean, you could argue that they've been playing down without their left tackle the last couple of weeks. He's back, and I do want to shout out how well Josh Simmons played last week. He allowed 0 pressures against Jonathan Cooper, only 1 pressure to Nick Bonito, and 1 other pressure to, I'm not sure who it was, but that was just via next gen stats. 2 pressures allowed. That's a really great showing for him, especially with all the conversation around like, should he play? What kind of shape is he in? Like, he just came in and looked great again. And that continues to just be an infinite bright spot on this season, no matter what. I mean, like I said, did the Chiefs trade all of their like devil magic to get a left tackle at 32? Like it was a sign it in blood type of thing. And that's why they have all this regression to the 1 score. It might also could be worth it. Could be worth it. I'm not sure. Let me ask you this. Does your opinion change if the Chiefs lose to the Colts this Sunday? Like, how much is hinging on this Colts game?
I think the season hinges on this Colts game. And that's not to hype it up. That's not to make you watch the rest of the podcasts on the channel. But it is one of the situations where this game was supposed to be super important. This was the game where we're like, hey, we can maybe win the division if this happens. Well, that's probably not a reality anymore. So if we want to make the playoffs, we got to beat a playoff team at some point other than those that are in the NFC. Like, we got to beat some AFC contenders that are on this side of the bracket. And that starts with the Colts.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is like the loss, I think, means more than it does to the Colts at this point. Because like, I don't think that there's any situation that the Chiefs and the Colts are going to be up against each other in seeding. AFC conference record, like that's one of the tiebreakers. So yes, you definitely want to win this game, but I certainly think the Denver one was the most painful one, obviously. But I think it would probably lower my odds a decent amount, especially just because like they were quickly becoming a team that's only beating bad teams. Like they beat the Giants, they beat the Ravens when they were tore up all to hell on defense, including losing Lamar Jackson in that game. They beat a terrible Raiders team. They beat the Commanders without Jane Daniels. By the way, the Commanders are like a team that's going to be picking in the top 10 this year. Like that's really where they've kind of fattened up is bad teams, right? And there's just more of a path and more of a narrative there, which like I'm not even sure how good the Broncos really are. Like I think that they do a very good job of dragging you down in the mud, but we've seen them struggle to win games against the Giants, and we've seen them, barely eke out a lot of their wins. So how good are they? So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a really interesting week. It's time for the leaders of this team to step up. Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, and Nick Bolton and Trent McDuffie. Like those guys, they've got to step up, and they've got to talk to the team about like what it takes to make plays to win games. And I have very little doubt that this Colts game will be a close game, because I don't see a path for the Chiefs to just blow this team out because of what they have on offense. Because the Colts, they have a lot of ways they can beat you. Jonathan Taylor's insane this year. They have 3 really good wide receivers who can win in a lot of different ways. They've got a stretcher and Alec Pierce. They've got a contested ball winner, Michael Pittman. They've got a shifty slot guy and Downs. And then, oh, by the way, like tight end position, they have probably one of the best tight ends in football right now, Tyler Warren. So it's a tall order. And oh, by the way, I just want to throw this out here. What could be better for the struggling Chiefs offense than Lou Anarumo coming off a bye? A guy who's given the Chiefs offense fits for years, a full week to integrate Sauce Gardner. Charvarius Ward is eligible to come off of IR. He got put on IR with a concussion, so the chances are probably pretty good that he's going to be coming off IR. So 2 really good cover corners, a really great defensive coordinator. I don't love it. I do not love it.
Yeah, well, there was a narrative going around yesterday after the loss that I kind of want to get your take on too before we get out of here. When you look at this team and you look at where they're at, how much of it do you think banks on the coaching here? Because we've spoken about it, I feel like ad nauseum at this point, but is there a situation here where Andy Reid pulls something out of the bag and is absolutely fantastic? Or is this something that could, potentially maybe in his career in KC? Not that I'm advocating for that, but that's on the table as far as Twitter content goes. So we might as well hit it.
Andy Reid will have to remove himself from the position he's in Kansas City. You just have to constantly measure this by, if he were to leave, how many teams would be after him? A lot. It is so easy to get caught up in measuring coaches and players by their ceiling instead of their floor. Andy Reid's ceiling in the last couple of years has proven to be an AFC championship game, most of them in Arrowhead. I think that there are some things that this coaching staff needs to reflect on. I think a good example of that is guys who leave Kansas City, go other places, can't find snaps anywhere, come back to Kansas City and are lifesavers. Oh, thank God we got Juju back. Oh, thank God we got Mike Pennell back. I'm eagerly refreshing the waiver wire to see if the Chiefs were going to claim Colin Saunders. There's something there. There's something about the way that this roster construction and the way that the coaching staff is using. Why is Christian Fulton not on the field at all? And then post-bye week, the leading third corner. Why? Why is the week prior Clyde Edwards-Helaire active and then Elijah Mitchell the next week, which by the way, Elijah Mitchell did nothing. There are just some things there that I think need to be examined. And I think it is very easy to say, and look, I think that this isn't high level analysis. I think anybody could come up with this conclusion, but I don't think it's inaccurate. The minute you start believing your own bullshit is where things start going wrong. And I think the Chiefs for a while now have been able to just tell themselves, well, we got it. We know what's going on, right? They've gotten comfortable. It's like, that marriage that's been going for too long. And all of a sudden, husband's not bringing home flowers on Valentine's Day or something. You don't want to get too comfortable. Sometimes you got to spice it up. Sometimes you got to bring in new ideas. And Matt Nagy's been here for a little bit. Steve Spagnuolo's been here for a little bit. The defensive staff has mostly been in place. And I definitely think that there are some things that they have to look at changing and growing and developing. I don't ever expect this to look like a Kyle Shanahan offense where they're just going to ground and pound and run the ball. I think the best path for the Chiefs, if we're talking about how could the Chiefs offense really revitalize and change and look different. And I think it would be Matt Nagy go gets an OC job, not because I think, or a head coach job, not because I think Matt Nagy is the problem. I just think that Matt Nagy is just a symptom of some of the issues that Andy Reid has offensively. And then they go out of house to go get someone who's spent some time somewhere else. I think a lot of people would be really excited for Mike McDaniel. I don't think that that's happening just because I think he's going to be the highest paid OC next year if he does survive. And I think he might stay in Miami, by the way. So I just think that they just need to have some self-reflection on the type of players that they're drafting, the type of players that they're signing, and the way that they use them, and ask themselves, like, hey, is this offense better when it just runs through? Like, this week kind of felt like, oh, here's our Noah Gray plays, here's our Kareem Hunt stuff, here's our Xavier Worthy stuff, here's our Hollywood Brown stuff. Like, you know what? Sometimes the best this offense has looked in the last couple of years, it's just like 3 guys who are getting fed, and then the other guys are just basically role players.
I couldn't agree with you more, but just to keep us consistent here, that does sound like a former offensive coordinator, somebody who will challenge Andy Reid that left a few years ago.
I'm talking about scheme. I'm not talking about someone just hooting and hollering and yelling at people.
Okay. That's why I asked. I just want to make that clarification.
Yeah, because
we are not saying that Bieniemy would come in and completely revitalize the offense.
And I mean, if you want to even make the argument that one of the biggest issues is just the lack of accountability, the fact that Juwan Taylor can go out there and do his garbage that he does regularly and no one holds him accountable, the fact that, the Chiefs are kind of trending towards being one of the more penalized teams in the NFL. They were very undisciplined this past game. The fact that Dave Toub can continue to do what he's going to do. But I'm here to tell you, whatever you think Eric Bieniemy did on this team, he wasn't benching the right tackle. Okay? He wasn't. Maybe, just maybe, Juwan Taylor has never been yelled at before about lining up off sides. And all of a sudden, Eric Bieniemy come in and do that. Eric Bieniemy is not benching Juwan Taylor. Eric Bieniemy is not getting Dave Toub fired. Like, I don't know what type of power people thought this man had, but apparently it was biblical in nature, because I don't think that's happening. This was an Andy Reid team. It always was. They're going to go as Andy Reid goes. I just think it would be good to get someone in here to try to help him freshen up his ideas and work him towards, being a role player in the offense instead of being the sole game plan. Because I think it's pretty easy to say some of the game plans this year have been, frankly, putrid.
Oh, 100%. I don't think anybody's arguing with you there. I just wanted to make that clarification because I know that's going to be one of the first comments in the comment section.
Yeah. Well, we're all comfortable bringing out the regular whipping boys. Dave Toub, Matt Nagy, those type of people, they're back. So we are going to be here every day of the week. It's not going to be an easy week, but you know what? Like group therapy, it's what we all need. So do join us every single day of the week. We've got a show. We've got Tuesday. We've got the Kingdom Queens, the OG Hour, and Freaky Friday. So do join us for those shows. And then we'll be back here with pre-halftime and post-game, as well as all of our great written content. If you love the Chiefs and you love Chiefs talk, you're in the right place. This is the Arrowhead Addict podcast. This is the Intangibles, powered by arrowheadaddict.com and Fansided, where fans share their passion every single day. So do join us on that written work as well. I've got my big board up, wrote a couple articles this week as well too. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Richard, for doing a great job. Thank you to Tom. Shout out Tom. Always great. That's going to be it for us here today on the Arrowhead Addict podcast. As always, go Chiefs.